Crime. I want to thank everyone for being here today. I'm Julie Henricus. I'm the Executive Director of Sisters in Crime, and I am going to introduce a few people, and also, yeah, somebody else is helping admit, so thank you for that. Thank you, Sandra. And then let's start with that. Sandra Wong is the current president of the board, the National Board of Sisters in Crime. And, you know, as of September 30th, she'll be passing the torch. But I would love to just take a moment to acknowledge the work she's done this year and to thank her so much for her service to the organization, because it's huge. And it's been, as you know, I've been executive director since May, and having her as my partner for these past months has made all the difference. So yes, so thanks, Sandra. Thank you so much for being here and for all you've done for Sisters in Crime.
Thank you. So great to see all of you too.
I know, this is great. Another person I want to introduce is Stephanie Gale, who's the current vice president, and she's the incoming president of Sisters in Crime. Has been an amazing force already, and I can't wait to see what trouble she gets us all into next year. So
You and me both.
As long as it's good trouble.
It's going to be good trouble. That's what Sisters in Crime has been doing for 35 years, is causing good trouble. I also would love to introduce Faye Snowden, who is the secretary of the National Board of Sisters in Crime, and Jackie York, who's the treasurer of the National Board of Sisters in Crime. And happily, both will still be on the board next year, because too many changes are difficult all at once, and we could talk about that for sure. And I want to introduce Kim. I'm going to do it again. Giordano. Is that right?
Hi.
Kim is the incoming chapter liaison for Sisters in Crime. So especially from this group, huge thank you to Kim for stepping up into the service for the board and for all of us as we're working on other ways and millions of ways to support chapters going forward. So Kim, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
And I want to introduce Alec Pecky. Alec is the outgoing chapter liaison for Sisters in Crime. And I just want to take a minute to acknowledge how much work this role is. Kim, block your ears, mute me for a second. This is a huge, huge job and has grown tremendously. We are now at 60 chapters worldwide. And not only is it in growing chapters, but also in supporting chapters and in figuring out ways in 2021 to do that better, to respond to the moments that we've all been presented with, and to do it with amazingly good humor, really steadfast leadership, and a knowledge from previous lives that she has made available to us and to all of you. So I would really like us all to unmute and give Alec a huge round of applause. Yay. Thank you, Alec, for everything.
Yeah, I'll just add, we may have our 61st chapter tomorrow, and we may have a new anthology process after the board meeting tomorrow. So some more things on my way out the door, but also I'm modeling Sisters in Crime logo wear. So this is a t-shirt, and then this is the hoodie. The hoodie is phenomenal. And someone will put in the chat the Zazzle store if you're looking for some Sisters in Crime logo wear.
Nice. And so her t-shirt says always right, never wrong, which is kind of fun. And one of our taglines is, so Sherry Randall, who I don't think is on this call, has been is what on the merchandise committee and has been helping come up with some pretty fun taglines, as have Stephanie Gale, Faye Snowden, Jackie's on the merch committee. We've been having fun with this, but killing it since 1986 is the tagline we're all sticking with right now, because we have been killing it since 1986. So we're looking forward to the next 35 years. So in 1986, Sisters in Crime was the conversation started. There were meetings and there started to be a formation. 1987, it became an organization. So we feel like we've got this year of 2021 to 2022, but really grasping 2022 to celebrate Sisters in Crime. Did I not ignore, did I miss anybody? I don't think I did from the national board. And if I did, somebody can pop on. I love seeing all a very full Brady Bunch screen, but it's it's a lot to try and process. So we have an agenda to talk about, and I'm going to just go through it. We're going to answer questions and then bring up things that you all may have questions about or just want to bring up. Some of the things we're going to bring up in today's meeting aren't things we can solve right now, but they are things that we can add to our plates for the future and add to the mix, because we have a chapter committee, which is on from chapter committee on the board to help support Alec and Kim, but also to rethink and to re-examine how we support chapters and what support looks like, and how best to move forward. So I was talking to Kim earlier, we were both early. I am a member of the New England chapter. I was on the board for about 10 years in New England, was president for 2. So I have that history and that knowledge of what it is to run a chapter and do the work you all do. So I do want to also say to all of you, thank you so much for your service to this organization. We are strong because of the chapters, and because even though it's not as regimented as other organizations and how chapters are formed, because pretty much we have a process, but if there's a group of people who want to form a chapter, we embrace it. I think that's a strength as well. Sisters in Crime started 35 years ago as an advocacy organization for women crime writers. We've expanded since then, but that is at heart what we do, is we support each other and we lift up all voices. And that is our strength of this organization. I love this organization and have been a member of it for many years. And I'm so proud to be the executive director, because I know it's made a huge difference in my own life and it makes a difference in other people's lives. So how can we embrace and expand on all of that as well? I am going to turn the beginning of this conversation over to Sandra, who would like to say a couple words. And also we're going to start our dues conversation because, I'll let Sandra lead the conversation.
Let's jump right in then. Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for everything you do. Again, everybody, it's really, really lovely to see you all. If I look a little distracted and to the right, to my right, which would be your, I'm not sure which way you're going to see me. I'm looking at the agenda on a separate screen. I am not tweeting, I promise. So let's jump into the dues conversation. If any of you had the pleasure of reading our latest issue of InSync, which is amazing. If you haven't yet, please do take a look at it. I do mention that dues increase is coming in my president's letter. So to let you know, here are the specifics. Starting February 1st, 2022, we are raising dues. So for active memberships, which are currently at $40 a year, we're raising it to $50. For professional memberships, which are currently at $50 a year, we're raising it to $60. And then for lifetime, which currently has been $500, we're raising it to $600. So those are the specifics. Again, it starts February 1st. So as you probably know, we usually start our renewal conversation with general membership in October, roughly November. And people have the opportunity to renew at the current rate. So $40, $50. And then starting February 1st, for people who join after that, that will be when the increase comes. So renewals, we're really hoping to get lots of people to renew at this current rate, letting everyone know that the increase won't be happening until February 1st and onward. So I just want to give you a tiny bit of background. This conversation has been happening within the board since 2019. But as you guessed, I'm sure you can guess, because of all the stuff happening in 2020, we decided to hold off on enacting this and putting this forward for all the reasons you can imagine. But we feel that this is a good time to do it. It has been about 7 years since we had a dues increase. So I think that's a good long run. And of course, as always, as you may get questions from your membership about this, we always have a dues waiver available for any member who's been a member for longer than 1 year. So unfortunately, a person just signing up to be a new member cannot get a dues waiver. But if you've been a member for at least 1 year, you just have to email our administrative person. Email address is admin@sistersincrime.org. And you just request the dues waiver. And to be honest, we grant them to everyone who asks. We don't have criteria that people don't have to jump through hoops. They just have to send the email and let us know. So this is an opportunity for you. If anyone has concerns or questions about this, please ask now. So does anyone have any concerns or questions?
Sandra, can I jump in there for a little
Yeah.
bit? Do you mind? So, yeah, and like we said, it's the dues increase 7 years ago, and we hope that by raising it to this amount, that we can continue to provide the great services that we have been providing over the years and still remain, a healthy organization. So that's another reason why we decided to raise the dues, because we want to be as, have an organization that benefits you all in the best possible way. So it's just, it's basically survival, and it's basically also not only to survive, but to thrive.
Great.
Anyone have any questions?
Just a comment. We had several members who swore they were lifetime members, and we had a hell of a time trying to track down their records to prove this one way or the other, because I had to applying for the grant, for the chapter. They weren't showing up. Alec and I, in a very friendly way. It's not like she was being adversarial about this, but it's like, no, she's not listed as a paid member. No, she's not, or he's not. And we had a hell of a time kind of working through some of that. And then there were some people getting older, and they said they were, and it was a little bit hard to confirm it. But since I've had some confusion about this, I just hope that we'll have a way, when you inherit these things and people say them, a nice, easy way to track that down. What I had to do was actually remove those people from our website. So they weren't listed as members, even though they said they were lifetime. So anyway, I've found that part of the process confusing, and hope we can streamline, like questions about membership can go pretty clearly. Do they go to the treasurer? Do they go to the chapter liaison?
So Susan, they should go to admin at sistersincrime.org. Kristen Prine is the admin person, and she can look them up. We've got a membership platform that we've been on for a while, so records should be pretty clear. If people sign up for under 2 or 3 different emails, that might be a problem. Like if somebody signed up just with a free membership and then became a member. So there might be some sleuthing that has to happen. But our records are pretty good, especially around lifetime membership. If somebody's a lifetime member of Sisters in Crime, they show up. And there might be some confusion and should definitely be followed up. And I'm sure Alec did that as well. But we've been using the same membership platform for a long time and aren't making a change on that because we just updated the website. And we're looking to add components, but if there are issues, definitely talk to admin. And you can even CC me on it so that we can do some sleuthing in the back end because we may have some other ways of looking. But this is
Yeah.
also when you're updating your group, you're updating your chapters. If the people aren't showing up on the search, it's because they're not an active member of
Yes,
Sisters in
and it
Crime
was part of the
National.
problem we had, and then they swore they were, and then eventually we got it straightened out. All I can say is it was not, I wish it was more straightforward, but hopefully we're past that, at least for our members now, but.
Yeah. I think sometimes people think they've paid their dues or that they're a lifetime member or something, and we just need to help them raise it up. We
Yeah,
also,
in some cases that might have been the case, but when 5 past presidents said, oh no, they were lifetime. Oh yes, they were lifetime. Oh yes, they were lifetime. It's I went through all that. They're older, they're getting confused, all that, but okay.
anyone else have a question about that? Yes.
Hi, I'm Janet Williams from Indianapolis. Just really one quick question for maybe some other folks out there. We've had a little discussion about maybe raising our local dues. Did you guys have any data on like kind of what the average local dues are compared to the national? Trying to
We
be really
do.
price sensitive and
The vast majority of the chapters are around 20 to 25. The highest, I believe, is 45. We have some at 12. That's the guppies. Excuse me. And we have 5 chapters that don't charge dues.
So 20 to 25 is the average.
I think we're below average, so gives us a little room there. Thank you.
Well, especially some chapters have found that previously free space is no longer free for meetings, and there are other costs that are coming up, which is why they're raising their dues. Because hopefully we will all be able to meet in person at some point, but for the short term, that's a challenge. Does anyone else have a question? Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. The next thing on the agenda is talking about the ACA Author Coalition survey that we send out. We're going to be sending a reminder to people to fill this out. So there are a couple of things that it would be great if you could remind your members, and that you should just understand for the mechanics of things, what goes on. Professional membership. So in order to get submit a book to the members books, database that I've created, you need to be a professional member, because a professional member means that you're a published mystery writer. So if people are joining with aspirations of being published, I do recommend that they join at a professional level. And once somebody has a published book, they should go into their profile and they are you a published author? Flip it to yes, because we're just triggering some other conversations and some other outreach that we can do for authors in the future based on that yes. But there's also the Authors Coalition survey. So the Authors Coalition is an organization. Stephanie, I welcome you to join me in on this because you were a rep as well, with many different writing organizations. And it's a group that does both policy work, so that we work with the Authors Guild on different policy issues and legislation and lawsuits. Sandra's on the Disney Must Pay Task Force, which is sort of part of all of this work that Authors Coalition does. Authors Coalition also goes after countries that don't pay royalties and gets gets them to pay royalties. So when they can be paid to a creator, they're paid directly to a creator. But when they're not, they're paid to organizations that represent writers as sums to help us support our genres of writing. So Sisters in Crime is a member of Authors Coalition. So for anyone who's run a nonprofit, you know, I've run nonprofits in my past. This is another revenue stream that's important to Sisters in Crime. It's going down every year slightly because it used to be, you know, if you mimeographed books and distributed them that way, then that was one way to find out. And now obviously it's a different world. But Authors Coalition also helps us deal with piracy issues and other things like that. So we're going to send out the survey reminder to people at the end of this month and again in October. Last year, I tied it to membership renewal, and I don't want to do that this year because some people don't log in and they get confused and blah, blah. So we're going to be sending out a invoice next year so that at the end of the year, so people can just click on that and pay. But just when you see stuff about Authors Coalition come by, know that it's one of the ways that we support most of our frontward facing programming, including webinars and workshops and things like that that support the genre. So that's one way that we don't charge for webinars, that we, you know, make them free for everybody to see, and, you know, are building up this amazing library of webinars. So Steph, do you have anything you want to share on that?
Yeah, the really important thing to keep in mind is when you fill out that survey, you basically guarantee us a portion of the proceeds from ACA. And if we have writers who aren't filling out the survey, we lose their portion of money. Another thing to keep in mind is, of course, if you're a fiction writer, great, nonfiction writer, great. If you're an illustrator or photographer, check off those boxes too, because we get money for that as well. So if you're a triple threat, please let us know on that survey and we'll get even more money.
And if you belong to many different organizations and you're getting the survey, take it for everybody.
Yeah.
Take it for everybody. All right, questions? All right. Next, collateral materials. So there's been questions on the President's listserv about hold on, I'm making myself a note. I don't know if anyone else, I've lost the ability to be able to do two things at the same time. I can't write myself a note and talk at the same time. I used to be able to, but it's gone now. We have on the website that if you need materials for meetings or for events that you can order from us. We've had an internal conversation about what that looks like because I'm now the executive director. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in Somerville, Massachusetts with no storage. So, having boxes of banners or boxes of materials, we've got to figure out a better way of doing it. We're also looking at what's helpful and how to produce things for chapters. So next, Jackie York and I are having one first of several budget conversations in the next couple of weeks so that we can come up with a budget for chapters for next year and what else we're going to be providing. But right now, we are going to work on a new brochure, but it's probably going to be a rack card. We're just working on the messaging around it that we can provide to people. We had a 3-folded lovely brochure, but as you know, once you make any changes, and we've made a couple of significant changes over the last 2 years, it's out of date. So we need to rework on that. But we do have bookmarks. So for this year, if you have an event coming up and you need bookmarks, you can reach out to admin and CC me, and we will order you bookmarks. We're doing this for a couple of chapters who've written in, and we'll send them to you. Next year, we're going to think about signage. We used to send out banners. But as a former president of a chapter, carrying that banner around in my car for 3 or 4 years was not my happy place. So we're trying to figure out a more effective or something else that can be more transportable, because I don't know how you all pass on, but part of the transition was always this huge box of stuff to the next president, and good luck, here you go. So we are going to keep working on that. We'll keep working on what that looks like. I also know that people are looking for pins. We need the pins redesigned because the logo has changed since the last pins. They're expensive to produce, but you know, that's okay. We're also, how do we distribute them and distribute them to chapters? We might have figured that out, but we also need to figure out a way that if individuals want them, we can get them to the, if anyone has an idea of this, of how to do this, I'm looking at Etsy shops, we're trying to figure it out, please let me know. But I'm working on addressing that for early 2022, is how to get you all some pins, some Sisters in Crime pins. Any questions on that? I just can't live with like 10,000 pins. It will, you know, they will be cat toys within a moment, and there goes that. Anyone have any questions? So if you want bookmarks, write to me and admin, and we will get you some bookmarks for this year. For our UK chapter and our Western Europe chapter, we're going to need to resize things and find out what your version of 48-hour print is and get stuff there. But we will do that. So once you're ready to go, we'll get you some things as well.
Julie just wanted to point out a question in the chat from Rhonda Blackhurst, and I don't see Rhonda on my screen, probably on the second screen for me. If hosting a book event that's not sync related, is it okay to put out some materials promoting sync? I would say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Absolutely. If you feel strongly about sharing your love of Sisters in Crime with new crime writers, with new writers, we would love it if you would share promotional materials from sync at your events, et cetera, et cetera. So thanks for that question, Rhonda.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, because maybe some of these bookmarks, if we send you a box, giving them to your members so they can have a handful. So if somebody says something at another event, they can hand them a bookmark. That would be great. Did I see somebody else's? Frankie.
Yeah, I was trying to put a question in chat, but I sent it to someone else. Is there a virtual version of the banner or the other materials? Because we're doing our Murderous March as a virtual conference, and so the physical banners won't really work for us in that situation. But do we have anything planned for a virtual version?
Thank you. That's such a great question. And we will create some Zoom backgrounds for folks, absolutely and happily, and get them out. That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Is anyone else?
I like Lisa Kaplan's Sisters in Crime logo.
I just took a screenshot of our logo from our Facebook page and just uploaded it. So you can always do something as simple as that if you get it on the website. So thank you, Alec.
It's and if anyone uses Canva, canva.com for designs, they now have Zoom backgrounds, so you can and they'll even animate some of them, so you could have the logo, you know, moving around if you wanted to. Anyone else have any questions about that? Great. Next is a question that's already we started to have a conversation about. This is again a moving conversation about events for next year and moving forward. You know, whether I think a lot of us thought that this fall would be easier, and now it's you know, starting to change for other people. We're also finding that people are attending hybrid events or online events. People prefer in person, but you know, we're actually going to have a survey that's coming out about the Business of Book survey. We're going to be releasing results of that next month. But a lot of people have no preference, and some people do prefer hybrid or online events because they can attend. It's easier. So Lisa Lieberman talked about a very nice solution for that, of recording the presentation so that it's available to people who couldn't attend the in-person event. There are other ways of doing it. We sent out a document about hybrid events. I put it on the chapter presidents, and it's on the chapter resource page that Carrie Dubrell wrote up, which is great, and we can create some more training around that. But a hybrid event is basically, if you're doing a panel, having a camera or having a Zoom ability for people to be able to participate. And since you all have Zoom licenses, that can open it up as well. I've been on a couple of other calls with other organizations like ours. So how you can handle some of the things that are going around, and the wording and registration. So strongly recommend having everybody register for events if you're doing them in person, and make it very clear what your policies are regarding masks and or vaccination in the registration. Somebody mentioned going to I think an opera in Germany. And one of the conversations, or when they talked about masks, it wasn't that masks are required. It's that, masks are obligatory. They're part of how we're gonna help each other stay healthy. So you need to make sure that as a board, as boards, and as organizations, you decide what the policies are and you put them into place. The best way to do that is with a strong registration policy. And I'm going to recommend, and this isn't a mandate per se, but a recommendation is to err on the side of caution when you're planning in-person events. Plan for what happens if we can't do it in person, and how else are we going to handle this. Our goal as an organization is that in 2022, we will host a breakfast at Malice. We will host a breakfast at BoucherCon, and we're actually sponsoring the new author breakfast at Left Coast Crime, and Sisters in Crime will be at other in-person events, because we love to see each other and we miss seeing each other. But in the short term, as we're dealing with this, at this point, COVID isn't going to go away. So we're going to need to just keep thinking about this and keep working on how to keep each other safe and healthy, and how to keep your organization on the right side of taking care of each other. Does anyone have any questions? And as I find out more information about this stuff, I will definitely share it with you. As I said, I've been on other conversations with other types of organizations who are trying to hold events and do things. Sisters in Crime is a little bit different, because as writers, that's our shared love and why we're members of the organization, or we love crime fiction and we're librarians and booksellers who support it. But when, these other organizations who are like oncologists who are trying to have conferences and things like that, we're all having this conversation in different ways. But any questions?
Julie, Penny has her hand up.
Penny?
Not so much a question, just a comment. I accidentally stumbled on a fabulous windfall. I went back to the private school where I'd worked for 11 years just to ask their IT person about hybrid meetings, because basically that's what they've been doing in the classroom now for almost 2 years. And timing was everything. It was the beginning of the school year. They were getting rid of old computers that were not old. They just needed computers with new bells and whistles. And the tech person provided a setup for me that we've got our fingers crossed. We're going to try and do a hybrid for our anthology launch. Because even though we are a tribe and we are missing each other face to face, the fact of the matter is we now have members in England and Canada, and we don't want to lose them. We do not want to lose them. And we don't want, I think personally it's unfair to expect somebody who's paying for a membership to watch the presentations after the fact in a recording. I think they should be part of it if at all possible. And what he set up was relatively simple. We'll see if it works. Was a laptop with a camera that we would sign on to, and then a Chromebook with a camera for the people who are physically present that would be signed on by another person as a co-host. So we would be able to show the people who are presently there, and we we're just making it a automatic whenever we rent a venue that they have a large screen and projector. So we can project the people on Zoom kind of Brady Bunch style across the top. And I don't know how much it would have cost to buy those things. I know it would have been more than the $400 that we had. And so I'm thinking it's still pretty early in the school year. It might not hurt if you're thinking of going hybrid and you want to test it out before you do a huge investment, to maybe contact some local schools to see if they've got computers that they would like to donate to the cause, and test it out and see if that works for you, because I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it's going to allow us to be able to do a hybrid where our people who are coming in virtually are actually actively a part of the of what's going on. How the content, because as you know, I don't know about you guys, but our holiday meeting centered around a meal, and I can't think of anything more boring than watching people sit and eat if I was virtual. So that means we have to rethink content for all of our events if we're going to continue on doing hybrid. But I really want to try, and I know our new president coming on is committed to doing everything we can to try and keep those members who are not local as part of our group. So just a suggestion, just a thought, I'm putting it out there. So if anybody else wants to give it a shot.
Penny, thank you. And can you touch base with me and let me know how it goes with your laptop and your setup? Because
Are you
that's
kidding? I'll post it on the listserv.
great.
Yeah. It was the best of times, or not. The drawing board.
I think that's awesome. Does anyone else have a comment or a question?
Janet,
I do.
uh,
This is just really quick, and maybe somebody can help me offline. Is we really need to kind of get connected to the Speed City Zoom account. We had kind of our own that we've been using, and it's just up right now. So we were kind of waiting till that was up. So you can just send us in the right direction. I don't want to bog down time here, but
So you haven't signed up for the Sisters in Crime Zoom?
No, we didn't yet.
So Janet,
but-
can you email me at ed@sistersincrime.org and I'll get you hooked up, and let us know the email that you want, your chapter email that you want to sign up for your Zoom account with. Because if it's a personal, the Sisters in Crime will overwrite it. So if it's, you set up a Gmail or whatever you want,
Okay.
we'll get it. But yeah, because you not only have meetings, but you have webinars using that account.
Wonderful. I'll email you today.
Great.
Thank you.
And if any of you, this is a little bit of a side, if you are doing a webinar and you need more, you've got 500 seats. If you've got an event that's more than 500, let us know. We got a 1,000 seat license we can give to you for a day within Sisters in Crime, as long as you're part of this. So if you've got an event that's like, holy moly, like we have a short story webinar next Wednesday that's over 500 people. So we're going to be kicking in to that 1,000 seat license. And it's just nice to have it. So if you've got something that just has taken off, let us know and we can hook you up with the larger license so that you can seat up to 1,000 and you're not paying extra. But I think for most of us, 500 is our dream. I think that's a good thing.
Sorry, Julie.
Yeah.
Sorry, could I just add to that? Just a quick note is, if as soon as you know you need more than 500, please let Julie know, again, ed@sistersincrime.org, as soon as you can, because we want to make sure we can say yes. So we want to make sure it's not going to conflict with something else we have going on. Just that quick note.
Yeah.
And there is a question, a raised hand from Barbara Spencer. Do we have time for that, Julie?
Sure, we can make time. Sorry, I'm not seeing this. My chat is frozen. Barbara, what's your?
Just a comment on hybrid meetings that might be helpful. We have had hybrid meeting. We had actually asked people to respond if they would attend at our venue. and we had 12 reply that they would attend in person. We have like 39 members. We had 12 reply that they would attend in person, but only 6 showed up, and that didn't include the board, but 6 showed up. So according to that, I would say determine what your venue is going to cost to see if it's going to be cost effective for the hybrid event. If it's going to be just a few people, and the next time we have had less say that they would meet in person because of the increase in the variant cases. So that's just something to think about when you're planning a hybrid meeting, is the cost of renting a venue if you have to pay for a venue.
Great. Thank you. And it can be very, it can, depending on the venue, the tech, AV tech can be expensive. So it is something to consider. If you're thinking about doing it, make sure you ask that question up front.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have completely lost ability to see the Brady Bunch. So I'm gonna rely on verbal cues to help me as I'm moving forward. Sorry about that. So Sandra or Steph, jump in if I'm missing something or someone's waving their hand. I don't want to end the meeting, so there's that. I just want to touch base about grants for next year. We've had some questions about grants, and anyone else on the board can weigh in on this as well. Again, we're having a meeting about budgets for next year, so there will be some grants moving forward. Right now, the operating grants and what those can do, we're going to continue to support Zoom for all the chapters. The operating grants can also help you spend on whatever you want to. We are going to be sunsetting the Speakers Bureau of program as it exists, to remind people that 10 chapters a year were able to take advantage of this. And it was an expensive program to run. So we're going to think about a better way of providing some services or some support for chapter events, but that can impact more of our members, because it was 10 chapters a year. It wasn't a huge return. It was great for the chapters, but other folks weren't able to take advantage of it as much. And then we are also going to be looking at other funding sources for next year. Any questions on that?
I think that what the Speakers Bureau was really great for was give us ideas of speakers to invite to speak to us on virtual meetings. So we ended up having several virtual meetings that effectively, I can't remember if they were a couple people probably were on the Speakers Bureau list. I think that having a list of people who do like to speak, who have a kind of a list of things they can talk about was very, very valuable. And then we arranged, we give them an honorarium, but of course we didn't have to pay for, transportation and hotel and things like that. And I hope that, so I like that part of the program very much. And I think with better sophistication on how we do webinars and meetings virtually, we can still have a very vibrant program.
Susan, I think that's an excellent point, and that is something that we're going to look at, is to create a speakers list, so the people who have applied and we know that they can do the job because they're on the list. So we will definitely continue to work on ways to make that available to chapters for sure. Does anyone else have a question, comment, thought, suggestion? All right. NaNoWriMo. So Sisters in Crime is going to sponsor NaNoWriMo again this year. Faye, I don't know if you want to jump in on this. Faye and I are chairing the committee for how National is going to support it, and what we're going to do We know last year the write-ins were tremendously successful. I know that Susan's chapter, and a couple of other chapters are holding write-ins on a regular basis that are also very, very successful. So we'll still have the Facebook group. We're figuring out the number of write-ins. We'll have Twitter sprints. We're looking for social support and other things like that. Faye, anything you'd like to bring up about that?
Nope, I'm just getting my own work ready so I can be ready to hit it come November 1. So I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about it too. It was actually, you know, it was great that we were sponsoring it last year, but it actually helped me finish a book. So that's a good thing too. So when we have these toolkit, we're going to be doing the national event, and chapters can also be, you know, obviously having your own NaNoWriMo events around, you know, around that. But we will let you know. So does anyone have any questions about NaNoWriMo?
JC Sellers just said that she would happy to be helped with Twitter sprints. Can we get our volunteer form tweeted? I keep emailing to Sandra, chatting to Sandra, everyone. But can we put our volunteer form somewhere where people can sign up? That'd be great. And I'll take JC's names down.
Sure. Again, I'm I have nothing. I don't.
Okay.
I
All right, we'll get it out.
Chat. I don't have cases.
Oh yeah,
I don't
I'll find it.
I'll find it. But
I'll
it's
put it in
also
the notes.
it's in the every week when I send out the newsletter, it's a block on the newsletter, but we can send that out as well. You can also again email me and I'll make sure Faye has it, and would love to have people help us out with these things. Absolutely, it's fun. It really, I think it's a great. Nano and Sisters in Crime is a great partnership, so I'm really excited about that.
I just wonder, I'm, of course, a huge fan of write-ins and that sort of thing. Just very briefly, what are other kinds of events might be do you have in mind or might be fun? I've always thought maybe, taking a chapter or a page that someone wrote and sharing or talking about what they're writing. In other words, it's something more social and discussion oriented. I don't know what you have in mind, Faye. So just curious.
Yeah, and that's some things to think about. If anybody wants to help us out this year, I am looking for volunteers, Julie and I, so we could talk about it. It's really tricky with Nano, right? Because you're supposed to get 50,000 words down, or I think I don't remember, 50 or 60. The issue is that it may be something that you're not ready to share. So I'm wondering if there's opportunity, to have like some type of social type event where you can discuss what you're writing and maybe not share it, or like I said, it's a tricky thing with sharing the work, but we can definitely talk about it.
Yeah, I was just thinking something more social. We'll find someone. Last year, Anna Manwaring did some stuff for us. We'll find a volunteer to help out, definitely.
Okay, great.
I like the idea of a social. So we, right now the write-ins people actually like webinars so that they can show up however they want, but maybe we'll plan like weekly or couple of times meetings where as many people, we can have 1,000 people in a meeting. I don't know that we would have that, but so that we can all just check in and talk to each other. I think that might be really helpful. So yeah, and to just support each other, especially after that first week when the slog hits and you keep going. Any other Nano? All right.
I'm good.
Great. We have 4 webinars, actually 5 webinars coming up this fall. We're going to start building a library of resources for chapter leadership coming forward so that if they need it. In addition, I have set up group IOs for membership, for programming, for treasurers, for secretaries. We're going to suggest that vice presidents and presidents both be on the chapter presidents groups IO. I can parse out the information And I will be sending emails to individuals who are doing this with the invites to the different listservs so that people can be on them. We have some folks from the national board who'll be on it to also ask questions, but anyone who's on the chapter president's listserv knows how helpful that can be with, and how helpful I'm finding it with, group think and with suggestions and with support for each other. So I'm going to be sending out on Monday an email to each of the people who have these different roles and inviting them so that we can start supporting them as well. But the webinars this fall first one is next Saturday at 2:00. They're all going to be on Saturdays at 2:00 Eastern time. Again, that's, given that we're in 12 time zones, that's a good time to have as many people able to join us as possible. So next Saturday will be about board recruitment. Saturday, October 16th at 2:00 will be your membership and answering questions, but also how to use the membership platform and some questions about that have come up. On the Saturday, November 20th at 2:00, good governance basics. So how to make sure that you're running the organization as well as you can. One thing that I want to make sure that we're talking about the balance of is that you're running an organization, but this needs to be fun. And this is also social activity for a lot of people. So how do we balance that and make it work? In both the board recruitment and in the good governance conversations, we're going to be talking about different ways of looking at organizations, maybe job sharing or bringing on different people, or who do you need on your executive committee, or who do you need on your board in order to run your chapter? Every chapter is a little bit different. So how can you get the freedom to make it work like that? And Saturday, December 11th, the topic will be strategic planning. It's a little bit late because a lot of you will have had your votes by then and other things, but it's also, there are just some tools and some usefulness around strategic planning. I've been working in nonprofits for a very long time in my life, and I dislike nothing more than a strategic plan that sits on a shelf and doesn't work. I'm a big believer in shorter terms, instead of 5-year goals, like let's talk about 3-year goals, and how do you create strategies and tactics that support the goals that you have for the organization and then actually work for your organization. So it's great if we all have these that sound fabulous and this is aspirational, but does it really work for your organization? Strategic planning needs to really, really work for you. And then we just added another conversation, and that is going to be a difficult conversations webinar workshop on October 14th at 3:00 Eastern time. It's a Thursday. More to come on that, but I just wanted to let you know what I've been hearing from people and we wanted to respond to was that, how do you have a difficult conversation? And a difficult conversation can be, how do you fire a volunteer? A difficult conversation can be around equity and inclusion and codes of conduct and making sure that everyone is adhering to what that means and coming up with conversations around that. So we're excited about that, and I will let you know more about that coming up as well. Any questions about those? Anyone on the board can attend these, anyone, or if you've got somebody who's in a pipeline for board leadership, they can also attend. Anything?
I love this. This really keeps me on my toes. I'm scanning faces.
Good, because I can't stuff. So you got to tell me what's going on. All right. I hope that you all find this helpful, because that's the goal. None of this, we want this all to be supportive and to be helpful for the chapters.
Yeah, I just want to say that we had a couple of odd situations this year. And, we like to think, because we're all kind of well-intentioned and everyone is generally pretty well behaved, that problems don't happen. but they do.
Yeah.
And, you know, because it's a volunteer board, you're like, I didn't sign up for this. You know, you aren't paying me anything to take this on. Anyway, I just appreciate that, you know, I think these are really good things to even if you've learned them in past jobs. And so I had review how that works and so forth. Because you'd like this conversation to be a win-win. It isn't always possible. And it's tough.
It's really tough. And I think, as you said, you assume everyone is well-intentioned and well-meaning, and we're assuming that, you know, we're all coming from the same place, but we're all people. And so you want to make sure people are heard, but at the same time, we need to lead and to reflect values, and that can be difficult as well. So I'm looking forward to this webinar, but it's going to be, it's always it's always hard to do this. It really is. Anyone else? All right, I have 3 more things I just want to remind people about. One is that we have the writers resource postings. They are lower costs. They're not free, but they're lower cost for members, higher cost for non-members of Sisters in Crime. But if somebody's looking for an editor or proofreader or designer, audiobook narrator, we can send them there, and these are going to be available to the world in general. So this is a service that we're providing to the entire crime writing community, entire writing community. So I always list it on the postings, but if you have something you want to offer folks, or if you know of somebody who wants to, sorry, cat in the background, then please remember that those writing resources postings are available and pretty robust, and we want to make them more robust. We want them to be a service for folks who are looking for something. And if you're working with somebody who needs an editor, you can also, or needs a proofreader. We've all had those moments where we've been asked to read something, and we want to support people's success, so we need to point them in other ways. I suggest people use that as well.
Do we have any metrics? Do we have any metrics on it's being used? I just sort of curious, sort of like, is it getting much traction yet? I've been sort of trying to push it a little bit with our members, but I'm wondering,
it's
are we
getting
pulling
used.
anybody there?
Yeah, it's getting used. We need to do a better job at letting folks know that it's there. And so that's part of this fall, is doing a push on making sure that on social and stuff, we keep pointing people to that resource, because I think people sometimes forget it's there. So it's still in launch mode, but we're working on that.
Yeah, I'm really glad you did it because there are people in our chapter that really wanted something like that set up.
Yeah.
Since we don't really allow or certainly encourage BSP for services,
Right.
money services like editing and so forth. There was a bit of pressure to figure out a way to do that. And it's like, you did it, right? So I'm very happy.
Well,
but I want to encourage people to, I want them to know that they're going to get some business that way too.
Yes. And we need, it's been up for a couple of months now. We need to sort of get time to really settle in and to launch. I want to wait and make sure we had a good amount of postings as well. But we will stay posted, but thank you for helping support it, because I think it's needed, and it's a good way to offer the services, not just to our members, but to everybody. So that if somebody posts as a Sisters in Crime member, they can also reach a broader audience, help support them as well. The Zazzle store we talked about earlier, and hopefully in the chat, someone was able to share that link. Again, that's also been in the newsletter. I should have worn my Sisters in Crime sweatshirt, but it's, people have asked for merch, and so we put some up, and if you have an idea or something that we don't have listed, please let us know, and we can talk about adding it. And last but not least from me, and then I'll see if anyone else has things to share. Sink into Great Writing is on October 2nd. I'm going to let Stephanie talk a little bit about it because this is her brainchild and her event. But on October 2nd, which is a Saturday, it's going to run from, it's about 3.5, 4 hours. It's actually 3 workshops in one. And as part of the day, we're also going to be doing the torch passing from Sandra to Stephanie. So we can all celebrate that. It is free for Sisters in Crime members. It is $25 for non-Sisters in Crime members. And so we're hoping that folks will join the organization to be part of it. If people join Sisters in Crime National after October 1st, they would join. It's a 15-month, they get 2022 included. So, you know, because we are on a calendar year and are going to stay that way, you know, doing it that way so somebody's not paying full freight to become a member. As of October 1st, it's a 15-month membership. So you can also encourage folks that way.
I also want to add, Julie, that in March is another Sink into Great Writing, which will be at the same price. So if someone wants to attend 2 of them, that's the same price as a 1-year membership at $50 a year. So yeah, so it's a great way to sell memberships to people in your areas or people that you know who aren't yet members. Because as you all know, I hope, our Sink into Great Writing events are really amazing, phenomenal, full of amazing speakers and information about craft, as well as the business side. So it's a great way to really boost what Sisters in Crime offers to everybody who's a writer.
Absolutely. And no pressure on Sandra, but she's in charge of the March 2022 ones.
Fine.
Julie, do you want me to talk about October?
I would love you to talk about it.
Okay, so I work in higher ed. I work at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and gotta stop assuming everyone knows what that means. And so back to school is actually like a big time of year. I had a professor I worked with, and we used to say, "Happy Academic New Year" when we would see each other after school started. So for me, back to school brings back really fond memories of like stationery store supplies and new clothes and seeing your friends and going back to school because I was a big nerd. But so I sort of structured that around the idea of the 3 R's. So our 3 R's this time will be research, rewriting, because as we all know, rewriting is writing, and wrangling. Yes, I know wrangling starts with a W, but arithmetic doesn't start with an R either. And so we'll have 3 different panels, and I think you're going to come away with like a lot of really useful tips and tricks that you can use no matter what stage of writing you're in, whether you're really coming to it fresh, you've been in the profession for a while, maybe you're feeling a little tired and uninspired and unappreciated. I'm hoping this will really kickstart your engines. So I look forward to seeing folks.
I wish I could raise both hands to that last part, Steph.
Great. Any questions about Sink into Great Writing? I appreciate everyone being here. We're about 4 minutes after, but does anyone have any questions or comments or thoughts or suggestions they'd like to share? Again, I can't see folks, so I'll ask Stephanie and Faye and Sandra to
keep an
let us
eye
know.
out. And then will the notes be available to everyone, Julie? Because all those links that people were placing in chats and email addresses, I was placing in the notes, the Zazzle store, the admin, email, and Canva and all that stuff. So
if someone can download the chat, that would be great and send it to me. It will be downloaded as well. And I've also got the notes from the agenda, so I will put it all together and send it out for sure.
Okay. And then the questions or concerns, are there anything that's coming down from National that you guys are, I shouldn't say coming down, but coming from National that you guys are concerned with, or you want more explanation, or you have questions. Okay. I see Janet.
Janet, yeah.
Hey, just really quickly, I just wanted to, I've communicated with leadership about one issue that our chapter has faced, but we've had some issues at a local mystery writing conference, Magna Cum Murder, where there were some kind of bigoted remarks by at least one speaker. I don't know. That was the only one I had heard. And the organization has been reconstituted as another event that is going to happen now in the spring. So we've communicated with leadership that in order for us to participate, that we really expect them to develop some sort of code of conduct for speakers. And like I said, I've communicated with you guys, and I just really kind of like to put it out there for the rest of our chapters that I think it's really something that we as members should take really seriously when we're participating, especially in more localized conferences, that we expect those organizations that we're going to attach our name to have a code of conduct that aligns with what the national chapter has articulated. I just wanted to kind of put that out there. And we haven't heard back. Like I said, the program's been pushed to the spring. We're still trying to get answers from like the local organizers, but it's been a big event for us. And I think it will hurt some of us to not like actually sponsor like we have in the past, but it's a pretty serious issue.
Janet, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention and for holding them accountable. Because I think it's extremely important, and you don't make change without recognizing when people do wrong and calling them out on it. I will say one recommendation: if you are looking at local conferences or any area where you think, do they not have a code of conduct? A follow-up question is, if there is a violation of your code of conduct, how do you handle it? Because a lot of organizations have a code of conduct, but they do not have a disciplinary board or another organization that actually enforces the code. And quite frankly, a code is only as good as the people backing it up are. So that's a
we actually we included that in our letter to the local organizers, just to make sure that there is some mechanism to complain, because there have been complaints, at least about one particular speaker in the past.
No, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
Anything else?
Any other questions or comments, concerns? Again, thank you so much, all of you, for spending time with us on a Saturday.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Thank you all very, very much. I'm sorry I can't see your faces, and I'm not sure what happened here, but hopefully when I close Zoom, the recording will be beautiful, and I will be sharing it and sharing the notes early next week. I'll send out an email, and I will be sending out the group IO invites to all the different people in the organization as well.
Just quickly, it looks like Penny, you have a last minute hand
Just
up.
real
Yes.
quickly, and I'm dashing off because we sent the link from before we got the national link for today's meeting and found out that nobody can get into it. So just a reminder to people, when you sign up for the new Zoom, it doesn't automatically carry any meetings that you've got scheduled over. So, or maybe nobody else is having that problem but us, but we are. So just a thought to double check.
Penny,
and thank you for holding these meetings. These are great.
Well, Penny, we're happy to do them. And also, if you are using this, your chapter's Zoom account, because ask me how I know this, and you set up a meeting, even if somebody else can go on, it might be screwing it up. I had two meetings that conflicted once. So, yes.
Got it.
The light
Okay,
bulb.
all right.
Light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
which-
everybody,
Which
All
so
right, thank
highlights
you.
the purpose of this town hall, right? We all learn from one another's
from each other.
Yeah.
experiences, mistakes, errors.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. Well, you know how to
Yeah.
find us.
Yeah.
For a few more weeks, I'm at president@sistersincrime.org. After that, it'll be Stephanie at the end of that
Yeah.
email address.
But she's not going away, right?
No,
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
still gonna be on the board.
I'll still be on the board, wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
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 Yeah, the Canadian
right.
brand of havoc.
Okay. I didn't know that. All right. Hey,
Thank
take
you all
care. I
very
always say
much.
shenanigans. Okay. Bye,
right.
guys. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Is it done?
Are you still blanked out, Julie?
I'm still blanked out.
Oh my
Can you
goodness.
end the meeting?
Yeah, I can. Maybe. We have. Oh, I can only leave it. Steph, can you end it? You're on mute, love. You're on mute, Steph.
You know what? I'm gonna shut
I
down
can
my.
stop recording it if you want me to.
Yeah, that would be good. Stop recording.
Okay, done.
I mean, I can't see anything. Like
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
lost everything.
So
So,
Julie, is it recorded to the cloud or to your?
yes, it was recorded to the cloud. I
Okay.
played it
Yeah,
back.
it
So
stops.
in the
Okay.
cloud.